And then I look on the security cameras to see what happened, and my porter had taken it out for lunch. I called my porter, and he said, yeah, I took it out. Yeah, I got into a wreck, and I used the insurance card that was in the glove box instead of my own insurance. And so that's how your customer called you.
Oh.
The following program features a bunch of doofuses talking about the automotive aftermarket. The stuff we, or our guests may say, do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of our peers, our sponsors, or any other associations we may have. There may be some spicy language in this show, so if you get your feelings hurt easily, you should probably just move along. So without further ado, it's time for Confessions of a Shop Owner with your host, Mike Allen.
It's awesome. Right up until like last time I went out, I passed a guy from a half lap down, a Viper, an M3, and a Hellcat Charger. And I sucked them all up in a half of a lap in all 108 horsepower I have.
Those specific words to describe what you did?
Maybe not.
Are we recording already?
I made up distance. I made up the distance and passed them easily. How about that?
You heard it here first, everyone.
It's funny though. You do have to be pretty secure when you go out in a Miata and you're 6'5" and 220 pounds, and they see me unfold out of it and kind of take the car off like a jacket. But it's fun. It'd be
easier if you're
blast.
5'9" and 220 pounds. So, no, well, I mean, my thought process is one, it's fun to tinker on it with my son. He's 14, and I feel like the car that he learns to drive on should be a manual. His first vehicle should be a manual, and also if he learns how to drive well on a weak, slow car, why would you ever put a child in a car that's got major horsepower? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, to your point, if you can drive a slow car fast, you can drive a fast car fast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
it will teach you how to carry speed for sure.
Yeah.
So
it's absolutely what we came here to talk about tonight,
it
right?
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I got Braxton here pressing buttons and stuff. So hopefully the quality of the audio and video will be way better than what happens when I do it by myself.
Now you've set expectations I can't complete.
Oh, man. You got to talk into the microphone. You got to get closer. But we're here at Vision 2025 in KC. This is my first time ever at Vision. You guys have been coming here forever, right?
Years.
2018 or 19?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was it like being here during the pandemic? Did they skip a year or did they?
No, it's where it landed. I remember because you got sick
Actually,
right
I got
after.
sick right after.
I think he got COVID because we were here. And I
Was it a
remember
super spreader event?
world shut down at that event in 2020.
Wow.
Yeah. It was wild.
I remember that I think ASTA Expo, it was ASTE at the time. We skipped a year because, we were late September, so we were peak panic at that point, I guess. And then the next year, we were one of the first ones to come back, and it was so much pent up desire to get out and network and be with your people and train. It was one of the best events I've ever been at, so that was a lot of fun. But I haven't introduced you guys, but I think everybody knows who you are, right? If you don't know who these two are, then crawl out from under that rock and explore a little bit. But PJ?
Yes. PJ Leslie. I am head of mid-market sales and enterprise sales for Tekmetric. Historically, I think I was employee number 5, 6, 7, something like that. Mm-hmm. They got me for free for the first year, and then I started charging them a little amount right after that. And so I've been here, we were just focused on selling shops for a long time. And now I deal with our customers that are the midsize and larger clients. So been here since 2018.
So it's like the Christian Brothers and the Midas and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, the national franchises, but also the, a 10 or 15 shop client. Yeah, those would be mine too. So everything that's 6 to 99 rooftops, we consider mid-market. Okay. So it's a big swath of the market, but it's growing fast. A lot of consolidation happening.
So you're saying if I can get to 6 that you're going to be my guy again?
I'm your guy always.
You
have
my guy
cell
years
phone
ago.
And you text me, call me, Facebook me. You can get in touch with me anytime.
Awesome. So Sunil, introduce yourself.
My name is Sunil Patel, founder and CEO of Tekmetric.
Look, here's the deal. I like to think that I'm pretty good at running an auto repair shop. It's what I've done for 20 plus years, but I'm not good at managing a marketing budget and all the different facets of a truly well-rounded marketing plan. There's mail, there's local advertising, there's website, there's Google AdWords, there's all the different things that go into that, and it's just not what I'm good at. So what I've chosen to do is to buy myself the time to focus on what I am good at, while having someone else execute on all of those things at a way higher level than anything I could ever do. That's what turnkey auto marketing does for me. So if you feel like you could use some of that same magic, I'm going to recommend that you go to turnkeyautomarketing.com, get a free consultation, tell them that I sent you, tell them that Confessions of a Shop Owner sent you. You won't be disappointed. Hey there. I'm going to tell you about something that has completely transformed how I run my shop, Tekmetric. As a 20-year shop owner, outdated systems used to slow us down. Everything was clunky, from check-in to estimate building to customer updates. It all felt just super inefficient. Switching to Tekmetric has changed everything. With Tekmetric, you get a powerful shop management system that includes DVI, quick and easy estimate building, inventory management, real-time reporting, amazing customer communication, and it's really easy for your employees to learn how to use the software. I'm talking like a one-day learning curve. On top of that, Tekmetric has tons of other tools to make you an even better operator. Stuff like integrated payments with buy now, pay later options is a huge asset. Ask me how I know. And recently, they've added a CRM component with their partnership with Genie, which I'm a happy Genie customer already, so I'm super excited about that. Now, obviously, there are a lot of factors at play here, but I want to give you some facts about my business since I made the change to Tekmetric. In September of 2020, when I switched to Tekmetric, my ARO was $293. In September of 2024, we were $916. That's over 300% growth. Now, I'm not saying that Tekmetric created all of that change, but I'm 100% saying that I couldn't have come this far without Tekmetric. It's a key factor in our growth and success. If you're ready to level up your shop, Tekmetric has everything you need: productivity, revenue, customer experience. Measure up by every measure with Tekmetric. Tap the link in the show notes to learn more.
So, how do you want to start this, Mike? How far do you want me to go back?
So I've heard the story that you're a shop owner who saw a need and decided to fill that need. I'd love to hear that, because we've met several times, and I've heard you on a lot of other podcasts and interview on print media, but I don't know that we've ever had a real deep conversation. So I'd love to just kind of hear it from you. Like, what was the story and the journey?
So I was my education was to be a physician, and in late 07, I decided that I wanted to leave medicine and open a repair shop in Houston, Texas. And found a place in Houston, Texas, and we did a Euro-only repair shop from ground up. And it was an empty warehouse building that we took, and we did quite well those first year. I think we did $800K in revenue, and we continued growing it all the way to like $2.5-3 million in revenue.
It's awesome.
Consistently several years later. You
started right before the 08 bust too, which was a very challenging time.
That was a little naive on my part. But,
well, you didn't know it was coming.
I didn't know it was coming, and but ultimately people held their cars longer. Our industry is actually very resilient to economic conditions. So, and so I ran that repair shop for 11 plus years, and found that there was no cloud-based product out there, and that you got to think about, this was like 8 to 10 years after the iPhone was released, and there was nothing out there. Everything was still on-prem. Nobody thought about building a cloud-based product. And so in 2017 or so,
did you have a server room at the shop where you had the super loud server, and you had to have backup drives? Yeah, I hated that. Man, I hated that.
Yeah.
I won't say what software I was on, but I hated it.
So we had a server room dedicated with a special AC inside of it, and it was like a tall rack, and with backups, hard drives and whatnot. And ultimately, I switched to a solution that proved to be very difficult to implement. They're still around, actually. And the database kept on crashing, and ultimately they had a database repair utility. And the number of support tickets that I would keep putting in daily was a lot. And ultimately they fired me as a customer back in the day. And that was the reason we built Tekmetric. It was the genesis, or the start of us wanting to build a cloud-based point-of-sale system.
So I want to talk about Tekmetric, but before we get deep into that, I want to talk about your shop. So did you sell your shop, or did you just close it up to focus on the software?
No, actually, I sold it to my service writer.
Okay, that's awesome. Is
so-
it still going strong?
Yeah, Travis Thompson was my service writer back
Okay.
in the day. He was with me for a long, long time, and he was just starting out his family. It was the right thing to do for him to own his own business.
Does he have free Tekmetric for life?
I don't think so, actually.
He was a beta tester. We
Yeah, but
tested
he- yeah.
everything with
he,
Travis.
He was an early beta tester, though.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. So, PJ, we met, I think you were living in Charlotte, and you came and did a monthly IGO meeting where it was like 8 of us at a Golden Corral or something, and you did a demo, and you sold me on it at that point. But at that point, I didn't own the business. I couldn't talk my dad into moving away from, we were with one of the covered wagon softwares. As soon as I got, well, actually, I didn't even change in my main store. First, when I opened my second store, I had 100% ownership of that. And so I immediately put in Tekmetric. And I had to have like a year of like rubbing my dad's nose and like, look how much easier this is. No support tickets, no database rescue tool, So then we got switched over and,
It's not uncommon.
Yeah.
That's not an uncommon story. We do that one it's probably an everyday type thing. Change is hard, and it's been intriguing to see not only, number one, the changing of the guard that's happening across the industry. There's a younger shop owner that's coming in, and they're realizing that there's pent up demand also in the customers. Right, the consumers have wanted more from a repair shop owner, and it's lovely if they do business with Tekmetric. But I just tell shop owners every single day that if you combined all of the the Tekmetric customers and every one of our competitors as well that have a similar feature set, there's a few out there, right? And so if you combine all of those, it's still just a minute fraction of the entire market. And so it's shocking to see that your story and what you just said happens every single day for us, because the son is coming in and taking over the business and going, Dad, when I go to my dog groomer, when I go to the dentist, when I go to a doctor, when I book anything, when I go book a reservation for a dinner, it's a different experience. But then we give people a ticket for $2,000, and then they get those greasy thumbprints and a piece of paper, and you can't text or email anything. Mm-hmm. It's wild to me. But that story right there, and I'm glad that I went to that one event with a whopping 8 people, and we would talk to anybody who would let us, come to it. And my job was to spread the word. That's what he told me. He was just like, just go in and own the room and just make friends with people and just make sure when they leave, they just have heard the name Tekmetric and they remember us in a favorable light, right? That was all my job was. We don't expect to make sales at those types of things, but it does work. And then people, the shocking part is that you go out so much. And events like this, being at Vision, it's crucial for people to get out and discover what you don't see under the hood of a car or in your office working over reports and so forth. You have to get out. You have to go see what else is out there. And when you do, man, it's an illuminating experience.
It changes your life,
It
man.
does. It absolutely does. And like I said, I hope they do business with us. But if they don't, training will change the way everybody looks at this industry, right? When they leave and just break away from that shop for just a little bit of uninhibited time, and yours was just a 1 or 2 hour dinner. Mm-hmm. And it changed not only your perspective of what was out there to help your business, but also your trajectory, I believe, in business. You are a success story, and I've put you in touch with no shortage of prospects, and you've been so gracious to talk to them and just say, listen, like,
hey, everybody, I want to take a minute to tell you about the coaching organization I've been involved with for, over 20 years now, Elite. Elite Worldwide, they don't give you a one-size-fits-all solution. They tailor the coaching specifically to you and your shop. They pair you with an experienced coach who is either a current or a former shop owner, and they turn strategies into actual action and accountability and results. Whether it's improving your service advisor's sales, growing your shop, growing to multiple locations, they really have you covered. They've got training for all of those things. Clients of Elite really see results, higher profits, stronger teams, a better work-life balance. If you're ready to take the next step, visit eliteworldwide.com to schedule your discovery session. That's eliteworldwide.com to start working on your business rather than in it. Tell them that you heard about them on Confessions of a Shop Owner so that I get a pat on the back or maybe a box of chocolates or something. That would be awesome. Thanks.
It's changed my business. And so can't tell you how much I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, I like to talk well of the things that I believe in, right? So One of the things I just noticed, the expo's just opened up here at Vision, but I was kind of walking around beforehand, checking things out. And so many of the companies out there are integration partners with Tekmetric, and they've got integration partner with Tekmetric on their booth, right?
Oh, that's funny. I haven't seen that.
It has become, I mean, let's be real. I think it's the number one aftermarket software right now. It's what it feels like to me. Braxton was telling me that he was at a class earlier today, and there were, I don't know, 100, 200, however many people in there. And the instructor at the front of the class said, okay, who here uses Tekmetric? Because he was just kind of polling the different softwares. Over 60% of the class had their hand up for Tekmetric. And then, those who shall not be named were significantly smaller portions. The remaining, 40% was divvied up between the usual suspects, right? So it's just watching the growth and the development and the way features continue to be added regularly, and the integrations get more and more powerful. It's been pretty neat. So I think I told you guys earlier today that one of the things I want to ask about, I'm kind of an AI geek. I don't know how to use it, but I'm enthralled with the idea of what it's going to be capable of doing. And so I'm using a couple of different tools to help my advisors be better at their job through, using AI as an assistant. But what does that look like for you guys thinking about integrating that type of technology into your software in the future?
So, Mike, we've intentionally stayed out of the AI space for a while now. We recently acquired Genie, which was a CRM company, is a CRM company, and they have some light touches of AI embedded in their product. What we don't want to do is just make a knee-jerk reaction on implementing AI in Tekmetric and not really thinking about what that strategy is going to look like. Because the AI space is moving very, very rapidly. And what you do today is no longer going to be relevant 30 days from now even. The language learning models are continuing to change over time. And ultimately, what we want to do is spend a lot of time on the strategy aspect of it and then start thinking through how AI is going to be sprinkled throughout the app. But there's a tremendous opportunity here for our space. So if you think about how long it takes to write a repair order in Tekmetric or responding to customers, there's a lot of stuff that we can do. We teased a little bit of it on a promotional video that we made earlier this year, where you have a customer that is a vehicle owner that has a check engine light that comes up, and she calls the repair shop, which actually happens to be one of our customers out in North Carolina. And ultimately, the conversation starts taking place, and our system starts picking up the voice of the customer. And ultimately, when she says she has a check engine light, all of the customer relevant information automatically populates on the screen. And so you could have a better conversation with that customer. And then
I need this in my life right now, please. Also in North Carolina, just saying. Go ahead.
Yeah. And then as soon as the service writer says something along the lines of spark plug, the price of that spark plug job automatically populates also, because now we know who that customer is, what vehicle she has, and the word spark plug will start a cascading event of using smart jobs, which is basically a one-click job, if you can put it that way. Yeah. And then we'll have the entire price for that job on that conversation before the service writer can actually respond to that customer.
Have you seen this video yet?
No, I have not.
You need to go look at our YouTube.
I want to know who in North Carolina is getting to play with these toys and not me.
It was Eurowise down in Charlotte. So it was geographic.
It's because that's probably who serviced your car when you were in Charlotte, right?
No comment. You should see it though, but like that video is impactful. As soon as we saw it at the employee kickoff, I asked Sunil and the team, I said, when can I show this externally? Because I get asked this question a lot, and AI is driving. It's less about AI, it's more about automations that we're discovering exist. And when we show it to people now, it's powerful. And what is it, 2 minutes? It's a 2-minute video, but the phone is ringing, and Tekmetric lights up, and you can see, like, it brings up Tekmetric and it shows the customer's name, it cross-references the phone number, and then it's picking up on their voice dictation and building an estimate while you're talking to a customer.
Can you guys send me this video so that I can splice it into this episode?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll have it in the episode because that sounds awesome.
YouTube. Yeah, it's on YouTube.
But besides the video, Mike, I think the focus for our company is CX, customer experience. And it's not just our customers, the shop owners. It's also your customers, the vehicle owners.
Of course.
And so how can we build a piece of technology that is actually creating an emotional moment in the lives of all of the people that interface with it? Because the stronger that we can do that, and the least friction that we can involve in that process, the more stickier our product becomes, and it becomes a true core part of operating a repair shop, and also a core part of the way vehicle owners want to communicate with with the shop owners.
So so I'm experiencing little touches here and there. What you're talking about there just blows your hair back, man. That's amazing. And I don't have as much as I used to have, but we're using like through Shop Genie, just kind of the call grading features where it's listening real time and alerting me if we have a call that went really poorly or anything of that nature, and you can set up who gets the alerts and when and how, and that's amazing technology to help you capture potentially lost customers before it's totally off the rails.
Yeah.
And that's customer experience, right? That's what you're talking about.
Yep.
One of the softwares that you guys have been kind enough to let integrate, Detect Auto, I'm starting to look very actively at hiring outside of the automotive industry for service advisors. And one of the biggest hiccups that you have with those guys and gals that you bring in is they don't know the questions to ask at write-up. And with Detect Auto integrating with Tekmetric, you just type in noise, and it gives you all the questions you need to ask Miss Jones about the noise, and then it puts it into a cogent paragraph to give to the technician. Because we've all seen the memes about the technician throttling the advisor because they got a ticket that said check noise, right? So those types of things are just making life easier already. And then when you talk about that kind of stuff, that's just amazing. So I'm excited to see where that comes. And it feels like a year ago, none of that stuff was here. And a year from now, it's going to be so, like you said, the stuff that's applicable today won't be applicable in 30 days. So that's awesome. Anyway, so I told you guys before we started recording that one of the things that I like to do on this podcast is to make a confession, right? We're stepping into the confessional. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned as a shop owner. And I am 100% an evil shop owner. So if you ask any of the technician podcast, I am what is Satan in the world. So that's good. But I have a doozy that I want to tell you guys about. But before I do that, I wanted to give you all the opportunity. Is there anything that you'd like to confess? What have you done, guys?
I'll give you one. I'll give you a quick one.
Okay.
I'll tell you what. I'll give you two things. Two confessions. One. I'll start with just something that I believe so few people do, and I think that more should, is look externally for coaching of any sort. I don't care who it is. One of the biggest things, the one thing that I did, I came from the dealership world, and I wish I'd done sooner, was just looking externally for somebody that I could learn from their mistakes. And it's no different than what this podcast is. It's like finding someone else that I could learn from their mistakes. The money that I spent on that when I was doing it in the dealership world seemed expensive at the time, and it was one of the best investments that I ever made. It helped turn around the business even faster. So a confession truly was like a mistake that I made that cost me a lot of money that I could have fixed if someone had told me sooner. Was getting someone, and he ended up being a personal friend and so kind to me, and probably could have charged a lot more, and he wasn't even a professional coach by any stretch. He was just retired. That right there was something that I think everyone should do, and should do it as soon as possible, and it'll change their business. So, all right, less serious. I will tell you one that drove me absolutely insane, and this was in the dealership. This was 2011. I'll never forget it. It would have been 2012 because they stopped making the Ford Ranger. And the 2011 was the last one I could order. And it was the last one that came to the dealership. Ordered it, comes in, and anytime a vehicle comes in, you have to put them up on a rack and you just drive them. You do a quick road test, and it's just something Ford requires. And I'll never forget, as soon as I stepped through and broke the threshold, walking through into the repair shop, I heard this sound that was like just 100 Coke cans being crushed all at once, and I couldn't see it yet, but it was the sound of the technician trying to lift up. Let me rephrase that: trying to lift up that Ford Ranger to get it up off of the ground, and one of those posts one of the arms on the 2-arm post was not placed under the frame. It was placed squarely under the front corner of the bed, and that sound was that bed folding up faster than a taco on Tuesday, man. Just crumpled up, folded all the way up under there. I ended up having to buy the entire bed. I couldn't order the guy another truck. production was completely cut off. So I had to buy the guy an entire bed. I don't remember what that cost me. I think it was around $5,000 or $6,000, give or take. And by the time I made it back to the technician, the sound, of course, had stopped, and he is just sitting there on the ground with his head in his hands. So I'd say the confession is just double check the placement of those arms on those 2-post lifts for sure.
I feel like you have a window into what I'm going to confess with that. So I'll come to you in a moment, but the segue on lifting disasters. First time in 20 years, we had a car fall off a lift, and thankfully no one was injured. It could have been really bad, but we're very, very thankful that it wasn't. It was a long wheelbase vehicle. Probably shouldn't have been on an asymmetrical 2-post lift in the first place. It should have been on a drive-on lift. But they were rocking and rolling. It was busy. Put it on a lift. Put a stiff knee under the back on the trailer hitch to kind of give it some stability while they were shaking it down. And 20 minutes later, they're done with the DVI. They've taken all their pictures and videos. They're uploading that. They're using moto visuals to create a good selling experience for the customer. And go to lower the lift back down. And don't remove the stiff knee. And so it wasn't like a failure to set the lift points in the right area, and it wasn't an equipment failure. It was just, it was an equipment failure here, right? But it was pretty scary, to be honest with you. And of course, customers up in the lobby, it makes a horrible sound like you described. And it was a Ford Transit van 250. So it was a long vehicle, and it was a contractor's vehicle, and it was full of tools and equipment and material. And so it only fell probably, the way it went down, it only fell probably 3 feet on one corner. And so we get it down, we get it out, and it's got some minor cosmetic damage, but no other major mechanical damage. So we've got very lucky, very lucky.
Wow.
So I called the customer. I was like, hey, this thing happened. But before I do anything, first I'm going to make it right, whatever it takes. 2, before I do anything, I want you to come down and look at it together with me. And also want you to look on the inside of it because it's a disaster. Because everything was in a pile in the middle. And so he comes over and we look at the cosmetic stuff and it's like, yeah, that's not that big a deal, yada, yada, yada. And I say, okay, well, here's the bad part. And I'm going to remove everything and put it back however you tell me, and I'll replace anything that's damaged. And I pulled the sliding door up and he goes, oh, no, that's exactly how it was.
Wow.
He was there for like $4,000 worth of work. He said, just give me the work that you were doing and we'll call it even. Thank you, Jesus.
Done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and have him sign something maybe that says that.
Wow.
But yeah.
Once every 20 years, if I can get out with that, I'll be okay. But that was a very stressful moment. So anyway, can you one up that?
Maybe. There was a Mini Cooper that came in for service, needed a clutch.
Mm-hmm.
We put a clutch in, and a lady owned it. She was very regular with us at the shop. For some reason, my porter decides to take the car to lunch to go buy lunch. And he hits a car pulling out of a parking spot and causes some damage to, I don't remember what side it was, but it was like one of the corner, front left or right corner of the vehicle. And that's not the worst part. Ultimately, I get a call from the customer saying, hey, I heard you guys got into a wreck with the car. Can you tell me what's going on? And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh.
And ultimately, I look in the back of the shop to see where the car's at, and it's not there. And then I look on the security cameras to see what happened, and my porter had taken it out for lunch. I called my porter, and he said, yeah, I took it out. Yeah, I got into a wreck, and I used the insurance card that was in the glove box instead of my own insurance. And so that's how your customer called you.
Oh.
And it was a $4,000 clutch job. I gave it to her for free. I came to her house. I drove to her house personally, gave her flowers, profusely apologized, and she just never came back. She said, I've lost trust in you, and I just can't. I won't come back, no matter what I did. And I met her several times after that, and she just wouldn't come back.
I get it.
Yeah.
Did you terminate the employment of the porter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shocker.
Did you terminate the employment of the technician? Or folded the Ford up?
I did, but not for that one. Yeah,
Okay.
something completely different. But it was indicative of the quality of work that started coming out. So
I did as well. I think it's the first time, maybe ever, that I've terminated someone effectively on the spot punitively. I mean, it was gross negligence that could have led to someone's death, right? So you kind of got to, but
your insurance wants you to do that, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
so I mean, that's just one of those things. To your point, the mechanical breakdown there is just between the ears, and it's just too much risk to take on. So.
Well, but what it did highlight for me, and this is kind of what I learned from it, and what I'm changing about my business as a result, is like, this guy, an hour earlier on the exact same lift, was pulling axles off his truck during lunch break, right? So he knew what he was doing. And I have today's class as an iterative learning tool that we use, and there's safe lifting training in that today's class program, but there's no enforcement that they have to go through and complete the learning course, right? And I have there are multiple resources within my company for proper lift use, but there's no sign off that they have read and understood proper lift use. And so there's a very real possibility that I'm going to lose an unemployment claim with this guy because he technically was never officially trained on how to set a lift, even though he's been in the industry for 8 years or whatever. So that's something that shop owners need to learn, is you need to have those policies in place, and you need to have your team sign off on those policies, either electronically or wet ink, and keep that stuff. So
document, right?
So
Trainual. Have you looked at Trainual?
I'm familiar with Trainual. Seth Thorson is a big advocate for Trainual, and he utilizes it as effectively as I think anyone. I'm trying to get really fully fleshed out and process all of my processes into Way We Do, which is a competitor to Trainual.
Got it.
So if we can get that done, then we're going to go that route. And if I hate writing processes, like I want like big picture stuff, and I want to assign those types of tasks out. So we've been working on Way We Do for 3 years, and the limiting factor has been me in every step of that process. So I finally just hired a part-time office assistant, personal assistant, and so I verbally vomit, and she creates the process. And so we're actually making some ground up now. So anyway, what else exciting is coming? I mean, you guys have got Tekmetric payments in now, right? And you've got integrated Affirm and Klarna and Sunbit.
Yep, just recently.
Actually, I have a good friend of mine in Connecticut who's just signed up with the payments, and he's talking about how good the authorization rate is on Sunbit compared to Snap. He's getting customers who were declined for Snap were getting approved for Sunbit and getting jobs done, and I mean, he's blowing it up, so that's cool.
That's nice to hear.
You've got Shop Genie that you guys merged with or absorbed last year, and so you've got phone systems through that and CRM through that. Are there any other? You probably can't say if there's like exciting stuff right on the cusp, right?
Think like what he said though.
Nobody listens to this. Just tell me what's going on.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say think more like and he'll disclose anything he wants to disclose. But I will tell you that he's set the vision for this year. Sunil has definitely set the vision for this year of it being CX, right? And it's two, right? We serve two sets of customers. I think is just the vehicle owners and the shop owners too. But if you see that. Not only the payment side of it, because when people think about payments, they're like, oh, yeah, I already have a credit card processor. I'm like, yeah, you do. But are you able to send out an estimate with a text to one of those customers? And no different than I go and buy black polos, and a black polo is $80, or it says 4 easy payments of $20. Can you do that with your credit card processor? Oh, no, you can't. And does it give you 3 options, right? Is there essentially a waterfall? Like if a customer can't get approved with one, do they buy in different parts of the credit spectrum? Oh, no, they don't. You have one financing option, and it's not baked in, and your customer's getting texts or emails from multiple places, right? All of that, vehicle owners and shop owners alike all want to do business with less people, and they all want everything to work seamlessly, and the technology has come around. We've grown as a company to where we have more options and more parts of our business that are under the umbrella to where we can control that experience, right? And that CX is paramount to anything and everything that we do. So you've got the shop software side of it, which, 7 years ago when I got in this business, if you talk to anybody about software, it was like, yeah, I already have a shop software, because all shop softwares were the same, right?
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, I have a DVI system and it's separate, and then I have a texting system and it's different and it's separate. And now you had a payments processor and it's separate, and you had a financing option separate, and then you had a CRM tool and it's separate. Well, now the idea here is that we've done pretty well on the shop software, and the more that we can put under that umbrella, control that experience. If things go great, it's on us. If things go wrong, you only have one phone number to call. That creates customer experience. You individually, like you said, things can't hinge just on you, and things can't hinge just on Sunil or me or any one single person at Tekmetric. So ideally, what we want to do is create this ecosystem, a team, and policies and procedures that we follow that create an amazing customer experience for those shop owners, and they can offer an amazing customer experience to their customers. That's the goal. And there's a million things that we do to do that. But in terms of what's coming and what you want to do next, I'll turn it over to him.
I can't talk about everything that we're working on, but customer experience is going to remain the forefront from here on out, honestly. It is not a 2025 thing. It is a forever thing for the company at Tekmetric. But we do our R&D spend is close to 20 million a year. And so we're spending a lot in product and innovation at the company. And, our largest org is product and engineering, in the company. And so, we're going to continue rolling out new features in the system. We're going to, add additional products in the company as well. And we want to disrupt this space in a way that nobody's really touched it in decades. And we use what we would call first principles thinking whenever we build features and or products. We don't just want to copy what everybody else has done. We want to build a better solution by breaking the core problem down to its fundamental elements and building a better solution back up.
Let me ask you this. When I think about growing my business, I'm frightened of building a new building from the ground up and having no customers on day one. So I look for existing businesses that I can, acquire at a point that I feel good about, and it already has some cash flow, right? But your world, I imagine, is very different than the world that I operate in. If one of the other softwares in the space was available, would that even be worth doing for you guys, or is it just you'd rather just take all their customers away by having a better quality product?
The hard part of that, Mike, is so we're always looking at opportunities, always willing to have conversations. The challenging part of it is when you start getting private equity, venture capital companies, and the investors that are behind these companies that want to make a return on their investment. And when you start looking at the metrics and the stats of the growth rate of the company, that just doesn't make sense. Ultimately, sometimes it just makes more sense to just be patient and wait, and the customers will just naturally, through attrition, just come to Tekmetric.
Yeah, you're buying speed when you do that. It's just picking them up now or picking them up later. Most of the ones that come up for sale are for sale for a reason, probably no different than your business. And that's usually the balance of it is, do I want to get it now, or are we okay to wait for a little while? So,
well, you get all of their revenue without having to buy their product that doesn't align with your own product, I guess. So, right? So, yeah, makes sense.
Very true. But I think the part that a lot of people miss or don't realize, because I don't know how you go out and shop for what you're going to do, but in our space, a lot of those companies, to Sunil's point, like you end up having to take in venture fund, venture money, private equity money, and so forth. And for him, it's been about control, right? And not in a bad way, in a way that it's like, I want to be able to have control over the company. I don't want to answer to someone else. I want to make decisions that I believe are best for our team and so forth. And the more investors that you take, the more control that you're going to lose.
So what you're saying is Sunil is a control freak.
A little bit. I can tell you right now, actually, for those people that don't know him, I've worked with him now for 7 years, and I've known him. I met him back in 2007 whenever he was first opening the shop. I remember I went in before the doors were open. That's when I met the guy. And he's not a control freak. He gives me a ton of liberty. He gives anybody and all of his leaders, he selects them, tells them what the goal is, and tells them to go do what you need to do. Don't be afraid to fail. And I'm not saying this. I mean, I don't think he signs my paychecks anymore, but in all seriousness, like, he just tells you, this is the goal, this is where we want to go. And then he just holds you very accountable to, did we do it? Did we not do it? And what do you need from me that would help you do it? And it's the part that I love the most, and that is so hard to maintain as you grow a company. He and I were actually talking about this in the Uber on the way over here, was don't want to go corporate. You know, when you go into these bigger companies and you watch these companies get big, they're so afraid to fail. Everyone's so afraid to try something. They're so afraid to be the name attached to something that didn't work. And it's so silly. It stifles creativity and growth and disruption of anything. And for us, it's more like go out, try it, test it, and do something small, but don't be afraid. If it fails, it fails. And just say, this is what we learned. This is why it failed, and we won't do that again. Or make tweaks and look at that. It failed here, but now it works over here. Now let's grow it. Let's make it big. I mean, even like when when we built Smart Jobs, what did it have? Seven Smart Jobs in there? How many clicks was it for it to build an estimate
Initially,
before?
Yeah, before it was like 60 clicks probably.
Yeah.
It's still less than some of our competitors.
Yeah. 60 clicks to build an estimate. Now we can do it in 3?
Sometimes 1.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be totally honest. I have not integrated in my business using Smart Jobs appropriately because I haven't taken it back to my guys and told them, hey, you need to learn how to do this shit, right? I assume that there are videos in the Learning Center on how to use Smart Jobs and set them up and everything. So I just got to go back and do that because we're still doing it the way that I learned how to do it when I was still on the counter writing estimates, right? Because that's what I taught everybody, and then they taught the next people. And so I got to get that in because I just know that last week I was up front and one of the guys was like, hey, what the hell is this? And it was all the parts were there in the estimate, and he had to select just which one. It's like, oh, that's Smart Jobs. He's like, what are you talking about? Oh, we probably need to learn that.
Well, see, that's iteration number like 3 of Smart Jobs, because at first we used to do it for just those small set of jobs, and now there's 20 or 30?
Close to 20 or 30. Yeah, about 20, but we're going to continue adding in more and more. And we want to get into the complex jobs.
Well, and what I'm getting at, I guess, is I like to think that I'm a pretty strong user of the software, but I'm still definitely not using it to the maximum of its ability. We were talking about taking cars to the track, and you can go get a Corvette or a Viper or whatever. If you don't know how the hell to drive it, it doesn't matter. And I think this is a Corvette software, and so I need to make sure that I'm going back and making sure that all of my team knows how to use it to the maximum of its extent. You know, get the most out of it.
Well, it's hard to keep up with too. I don't. What was the stat? I think 142 new features last year. Mm-hmm. You're not going to keep up with that. How many different softwares do you use? And we want you to get the most out of it, but that's hard. It's hard for us. We want everybody to know about those new things, but and now our engineering team is even bigger, nearly double the size from last year. So if we did 142 new features last year, we'll do what, a couple hundred plus this year? It's crazy.
I'm like breaking out in hives just thinking about onboarding that many people and managing that many personalities and everything else. But I guess at a certain point, you have people to do that for you. So that's something that I do want to ask about. Typically, I ask my guest, what training events are you going to this year? What conferences are you going to this year? Obviously, y'all are going to all of them, right? So I want to bring it back to a leadership development conversation because you were just talking about Sunil's leadership style. Very much not a micromanager, and just set the vision, give them the tools they need to get there, and let them do their thing. And then there's accountability if they fall short, I'm sure. Are you a student of leadership, or did that come to you naturally?
I'm a continuous learner, I guess is a good way to put it. So I do read a lot. I do listen to a lot of podcasts. But I also put it into action, and I execute on things I learn. I'm not okay just learning and reading books and listening to podcasts and doing nothing with the information, which unfortunately is what a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And so I always want to put into because what I've noticed is like a 10x return whenever I put these things into practice. The benefits that you get out of it is just mind blowing.
So if you had a new shop owner, a couple of years in, their first brick and mortar, and they're starting to take it seriously about being a leader in their business and not just being the number one tech or the number one advisor or whatever, what 1 or 2 books would you point them towards, or 1 or 2 podcasts would you point them to? not industry.
So one of my favorite books actually is Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. I think it's important for people to understand why you're doing something, and the moment you may not feel like it's important for them, you just want to just tell them to go do this and just do it. But the way they do or execute a task is very different when you actually share the why, because they're bought into it then, and they understand why you want to move down this path. So that's probably one of my favorite books is Start With Why with Simon Sinek. Patrick Lencioni's got a bunch of cool books. There's one book about
5 dysfunctions of a team.
5 dysfunctions of the team, but then the something about unique team player, or it basically he articulates like what kind of person you want in your company working for you, somebody who's hungry, humble, and smart. So those are very big traits that we also test for and in our interview process, and we want that in our leadership teams.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So one of my business coaches, I have a couple. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. One of them was introducing me to the concept of why-based training. Why is it good for the employee? Why is it good for the customer? Why is it good for the company? And if they understand all 3 of those whys and they can repeat those back to you, then it's a much higher chance that they understand and have bought into that process, policy, procedure, whatever it might be. And his point was, when you have a breakdown in one of those things, that you retrain with why. You don't go in and yell and scream and cuss and that kind of thing. You just go back to the whys.
Yeah.
And if you have to go back to the same why multiple times, then maybe they're not right for that. They're not in the right seat, or they're not in the right company. Maybe you don't know. But so that has been an interesting concept for me, and I'm trying to adopt that more effectively in the last few months. He called me out on it in January. So
I did. Have you read "Buy Back Your Time" by Dan Martell?
No, but
it's good. I follow his content on YouTube and on Instagram, but I like it. And he always boils everything down to either people or process. It's always people and process. And he's just like, the lift, the car falling off the lift, and you've kind of broken it down to you think the person was probably decent. They didn't do it on purpose, and we're trying to break
there was
someone's
no malicious
van.
intent.
Right?
Yeah.
So then it may be process. We don't know yet, right? And so it's just people or process, always back and forth. And you even said, like, did I have them sign off on that policy? Well, maybe not, but I did give them the tools and I gave them the training and all of that. And so looking at those 2 things, it's nice. It's a book that I really enjoy. It's just like, is it this person? Have you documented that process and have you shown them? And I think everyone, us included, all of my competitors and every person at this conference today could probably document processes better. Everyone could. And that's difficult as you grow, and especially when you're a small business, but that's a very important thing. I will tell you, for me, in terms of books, I always enjoyed Atomic Habits by James Clear. I think it's a fantastic book. I love the story of the British cycling team and how a coach came in and just looked at every single aspect, every component on the bike, the clothes that they wore, and he even brought in doctors to teach them how to wash their hands so that they got sick less, so that they could train more, so that they could be faster. And it was something
change
like
their pillows so they had better sleep or something.
The beds, the sheets that they slept on, all of that. The insides of the vans were a stark white and clean, so that they could see if there was debris or components or dust that would make those wheel bearings not spin as freely when they're racing, like every aspect of it. But the problem is that everyone wants to boil the ocean type thing, and they just want to go in and I went to a training and I'm going to change everything tomorrow. Some people can do that. Most cannot. But 1% better every day, knowing that you're going to look at this process or this interaction with a customer, or do we walk outside and greet a customer at their car, or do we stand behind the desk and wait for them? Like all of those tiny, tiny things. It's what we've done to have some relative levels of success, but we still look at it like we're just getting started. We're talking about that on the car on the way over here too. It's like, this is great and it's amazing. And yeah, if we're not the number one, I don't know what number one's rated at, but in terms of, growth and retention, yeah.
Let's be honest. I appreciate that you're being humble, because Sunil did say that, but we know that Tekmetric's number one.
but we don't look at it that way. And I don't think I've never heard anybody in our offices talk like that ever.
It's okay. I'll do it for you.
We appreciate that. We do appreciate that. But it's about getting better every single day. So
awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here. I've really enjoyed the conversation. And don't forget to send me that video link because I'm totally going to splice it onto the end of the episode because I want to see that.
Will do.
And I want to be the next beta tester because that's awesome. And I can't wait to see you on the show floor.
Yeah. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
having
Mike.
us.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.